on, guys? Jesse 504 here, bringing you your final LBT feature match for Season 1, but I will be covering all of the playoff matches to sort of keep the feature match as well as replace my match that would normally be happening. So this week we have an important match between Fatty Jones and Angie, and so for Fatty, if he wins, he gets a bye in playoffs. If he loses, he potentially can miss out on that bye. And for Angie, if she wins, she's in. If she loses, she's out. It's that simple. So, quick thing: Season 2 draft is supposed to start August 1st. I'll leave the applications as well as the server invite in the description below for anyone who wants to join. Yeah, so Fatty's team consists of Mega Blaziken, Lunala, Genesect, Rotom Wash, Hydreigon, Galarian Weezing, Quillfish, Lando T, Superior, Stakataka, and Lycanroc Dusk. And Angie's team consists of Mega Kangaskhan, Lugia, Clefable, Magnezone, Tangrowth, Alolan Muck, Hitmontop, Garchomp, Chandelure, Protean, Greninja, and Vaporeon. So, obviously, I feel like they had two very different styles of prep. Fatty kind of took it more chill and decided that if he wins, he wins. If he loses, no big deal. So his team is kind of fun sets all around. Starting off with Genesect. Fell Stinger set is really creative. I really like it. Extreme Speed, Iron Head, and Leech Life. Obviously just meant to sort of be a breaker. If it can get that Fell Stinger off, it can and get a kill with it, it can kind of clean up potentially. Up next, Lando T. Calm Mind, Earth Power, Smackdown, Sludge Wave. I would have personally gone for Gravity over Smackdown, but to each their own. Other than that, just Special Lando is always fun. Although its special move pool obviously is not that great, as you've seen from my Lando. But it can still put in work some weeks with the Calm Mind. Up next, we have Weakness Policy Superior. I would have laughed really hard if it was contrary weakness policy on accident and Fatty just messed that up. I would have lost it. Coil, Iron Tail, Leaf Blade knockoffs with physical superior. I think it does have equal physical and special attack, so that can work. Move pool's obviously not the greatest. It gets those three. I think it also gets Aqua Tail, but yeah. Up next, Hydreigon. Spadef Hydreigon, Dark Pulse, Roost, Toxic U-Turn. This thing can kind of stall out the Lugia, depending on what it is, and just kind of keeping that out is always nice. Up next, Mega Blaziken, Fire Spin, Toxic, Close Combat, Protect. Very memey, can kind of do well against some of Angie's threats. Obviously, it cannot touch Clefable at all. Can't do too much to Lugia, but it can kind of do well against everything else. Up next is the Quillfish, which is the most serious set, but it's a Quillfish, so take with that what you will. Haze, Destiny Bond, Spikes, and Scald. Kind of quick, and then Spadef HP. I assume there's a specific calc, but I could be wrong. Up next, Angie's team. We have the Lugia, Defog, Earth Power, Ice Beam, Roost. On this, I think that against Fatty's team, I probably would have wanted heavy duty boots, but I think leftovers can work fine here as well. Yeah, can kind of just hit everything pretty hard. Up next, we have the Muck. Knockoff, Poison Jab, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, AV means that it's just going to be spreading out good damage as well as taking hits really well. Hitting almost everything on Fatty's team super effectively. Having those two elemental punches for the Genesect and Landorus respectively is always really nice as well. Up next, we have Chandelure, Shadow Ball, Protect, Flamethrower, Toxic. Works pretty well. Angie definitely brought a bulky team this week, but it can definitely break through some stuff. Yeah. Up next, Protean, Greninja, Water Shuriken, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, Surf. I think this thing is potentially meant to be a cleaner or early game breaker, depending on what it needs to be. Not too much outside of that, just pretty standard Greninja stuff. Up next is the Clefable, Baton Pass Calm Mind, Flamethrower Moonblast. If it can Baton Pass Calm Minds into Chandelure, into Greninja, into Lugia, they'd all appreciate it, even Muck for the Spadef. But also Baton Pass is great just for momentum. And then Flamethrower and Moonblast kind of just being a more more offensive Clefable for what it is. Yeah, obviously not having like Wish or Soft Boil to heal itself is kind of unfortunate, but you have to make some trade-offs. And then lastly is the Garchomp, SD Chomp. I'm not sure if that was the bring this week, but SD Dragon Claw Fire Fang EQ can hit a lot of stuff really hard. I was just like a little worried about SD Chomp against Blaziken speed passing stuff, so it's all faster than it now, and yeah. But I'll see you guys in the battle. So in this battle, personally, I don't see either side having like a real designated lead, because normally I feel like Lando T is kind of a great lead, but Fatty's Lando T is meant to be a special cleaner, so not really a great lead. I could see a Quillfish lead from him. And from Angie, again, not really having too great of leads. I could see just a Greninja lead, potentially, but see how they actually do. Lugia, just, I guess, to try to put a little pressure, and Superior. Just taking the Ice Beam really well, like Superior does, and is able to just get the weakness policy off, and can just go for a knockoff that does not enough damage. And now here, Angie swishes out. I don't know, I personally would have stayed in. I guess knockoff wasn't doing too much for what it is. Poison Jab crit is unfortunate. I think it probably could have lived, potentially, but Smackdown, when the Earth Power could have just killed, I don't know. Thankfully it can tank the Ice Punch despite being quad weak. I don't know, I guess Fatty was trying to read a Lugia switch in. But Genesect was able to get its attack raise, which it needed, and then in comes the Chandelure on an Iron Head that is kind of obvious. Now the Genesect, it'd be a fool to stay in on Chandelure, so Hydreigon comes in, which is fair. I'd like to point out Fatty's nickname. So Fatty has a Hydreigon. Everyone's prepped for it. It never came before this game, so let's just. And Fatty doesn't even use it like a Hydreigon. I mean, like, I guess, but just goes for a Toxic and like a Stally Hydreigon, especially against like this Stally of a team, especially, and it also like can't touch Muck at all with its set. It's just gonna have to U-turn out into something, into the Blaziken, because this Muck, it can do some stuff, but like, yeah, knock off, just take it, it's fine. Just going for Fire Spin, Flash Fire, because this Blaziken also can't touch the Chandelure. And now Fatty's not in the greatest situation. He kind of has to. Well, he protects because he does. Does he have Baton Pass on this? I don't think he does. Actually, yeah, he does not have Baton Pass. So maybe the Speed Pass into the Lando could have been helpful. But just goes for Toxic. Yeah. Gets the Toxic off finally, and then the Chandelure just goes for a Shadow Ball. Kind of just a couple of stally turns these next few turns. Goes into the Hydreigon hard switches. Shadow Ball eats. Chandelure's like back almost all the way up now. Just protecting again, because the Hydreigon is very passive, other than like that Dark Pulse. A lot of Fatty's team is pretty passive, to be honest, this game, when normally it's just kind of like a ruthless offensive machine. In comes the Greninja. U-turn out, does a lot of damage into the Genesect. Now this is the opportunity, potentially, for the Fell Stinger to come off, but obviously doesn't stay in. Just kind of leeching the life is fine. But obviously can't really do too much to the Chandelure. Gonna have to switch out again. Back into the Blaziken, and can kind of just stall. The Blaziken getting Toxic is great though, because now it's like a stall machine that can't even stall properly anymore. In comes the Quillfish, which is kind of thin especially, but obviously it doesn't really matter. Quillfish just can set spikes, Calm Mind on the Clefable. Yeah, so kind of the sets from Angie's side are definitely all working as they were kind of intended to, and from Fatty's side I feel like the Blaziken is kind of hard stopped by that Chandelure. The Genesect kind of hard stopped by that Chandelure. Smackdown over Gravity was kind of an iffy choice, I personally think. And then this Hydreigon has been like kind of the MVP of the game so far for him, but just catching that Moonblast. For the Quillfish, Haze is really helpful for Fatty, so Haze is the baton pass into the Lugia. Obviously if that Lugia still had a Calm Mind, this would be way different. But the Lugia just roosts up, obviously, because the Quillfish can go for Destiny Bond here pretty safely, and now the Lugia can just defog away the spike as the Quillfish can reset it. But obviously as soon as the Lugia is ready, it can just click Earth Power and do big damage. There's the Earth Power. Blaziken came in on it though, so just takes more chip, and now obviously he doesn't want to get trapped, so they got to switch out. Fatty makes a nice double into the Hydreigon. Yeah, so now Angie's kind of in a bad position. Obviously toxicking or protecting when you're already getting toxic stalled is, I mean, like personally I think never the play, because now you're just net down 6% for 1 PP of a move that doesn't really feel like it's gonna run out. So yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. And this Quillfish can kind of just keep coming in on this Clefable, obviously, because yeah, this thing can't really get broken too hard. Obviously when the Genesect is like, when the Clefable is kind of like broken a little more, obviously, but baton passes being intimidated. Yeah, so now this Quillfish, I don't know if Fatty's gonna let it go down this easily. Safe Earth Power switching, and obviously it's just gonna kind of be a battle of attrition for a little bit. Getting toxic off on this thing doesn't matter. It is not unaware. So yeah. At this point there's a lot of toxic everywhere, which makes it kind of funny, but because if you look, obviously on Fatty's side is just the Blaziken, I believe, but from Angie we see the Clefable is toxic, the Chandelure is toxic, the Muck obviously can't get toxic, but like everything's just toxic stall. Haze obviously it's just gonna, Haze on the Quillfish is massive for this. But obviously, if Angie wants to set up here, then Fatty gets a pretty free Destiny Bond, or just going Lando. I personally would set up. Okay. So you see the setup here from this Garchomp. It looks pretty mean at this point. There goes the Lando, and it kind of has a move for almost everything left. In comes the Blaziken, which is going to protect. I would set up, personally, and call that. Angie just goes for the Earthquake. I mean, like, obviously Fatty needs the Protect to outspeed, but even then, like, it's not like he's gaining anything, any form of, like, health. Just going for CC, obviously it doesn't matter. He's just gonna go down to the Toxic, or it would have been the Rough Skin if the Garchomp stayed in, but yeah. So a Dragon can just U-turn. Angie makes a bold, good play by staying in. And can just get a Toxic off, but that doesn't really matter. This Quillfish still looks great, even though it isn't doing too much. Scald can take out the Chandelure, so it's not a 6 though. In comes the Lugia, which is pretty much hard-walled by the Hydreigon. Obviously, getting the spikes away is gonna help the Greninja and Garchomp come in. But the Lugia reveals that it's not, or that it has no stabs on this set. And at this point, like, Fatty doesn't have a great way to break this Lugia. Hydreigon is the only real way, but that thing doesn't really have hardly anything. At least Fatty's like swapping around, not taking too much damage. And the Lugia is knocked off, so it's not really doing too much. Getting the Toxic off on it, and now this Hydreigon is sort of meant to be a meme, but at this point it's like spreading Toxics and it's just taking hits like a champ. I would personally bring in Genesect here. Fatty does. As now, kind of get. I mean, this Clef is obviously revealed Flamethrower, but in comes the Muck. Ideally, the Muck tanks this, but it doesn't. Because if it tanked it, then Fatty could just Fell Stinger it. Obviously, here comes the Garchomp. Quillfish comes in. Just like the dual Intimidators really have a way of neutering this team, even though, obviously, now the Quillfish is probably just gonna click Destiny Bond or something. It just goes for the Scald. Could have Destiny Bonded next turn, but that switch, I feel like it wasn't necessary. I feel like you just set up SD and you win there. But like if you set up that SD there, that could have just potentially been game. Yeah, this game is kind of stalling out. I'm just gonna speed it up. It's just mostly the same couple turn sequences, with stuff not really getting too broken at any point really, because this, yeah, just roosts back up. Yeah, this is just taking a while. Pretty much, I feel like Angie has this game in the bag for a while at this point. Just kind of the momentum's been in her favor. Obviously Fatty's trying to do everything he can to pull this out with like the swaps and stuff, but just kind of letting the Lugia go down here is pretty big, though the Garchomp can kind of just win at this point if it wanted to, but so can this Greninja. So obviously it's kind of getting low, especially with the Life Orb, so I mean doing big damage to the Hydreigon, and then he's just gonna die. So trading the Greninja for the Hydreigon is fine, but at this point the Garchomp SD's up. Quillfish Destiny Bonds, Garchomp SD's up again and just cleans. Very close game for what the sets were, I'll admit. E-Speeds can't quite get there. Takes big damage, and then Angie is able to clutch it up, make playoffs. I feel like she deserves it the way that this game went down. Alrighty, this time we got an interview with not one but both of the coaches. Oh, we have both Angie and Fatty here. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Ladies first.
Oh, I don't classify myself as that, but okay.
Alright.
I coach the Ancient Absols. I don't know. I don't know how to describe myself. I just kind of exist.
Alright.
I play Pokemon for a living. Yay.
Same. Oh, I'm Fatty Jones, back again with the interview, coach of SN Bombs.
Alrighty, so obviously this match was big for both of you guys. Angie wins, she makes playoffs. Fatty wins, he gets a bye. But I think you guys took very different approaches to team building.
Yeah, I think so too.
Definitely.
Do any of you guys want to go over like any specific sets first?
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay.
This was honestly my favorite prep I ever made, even though it's absolutely ass. I just started out. I knew I wanted to use Fell Stinger Genesect. I wanted to use that all season already, so I just slapped that on the team. Then I went Calm Mind Landorus with the Smackdown, so I could hit the Lugia with Earth Power.
Wait, Fatty, just a quick question. Why'd you go Smackdown, not Earthquake, or Smackdown, not Gravity? I mean.
Smackdown also breaks multi-skill immediately, so that's why I went Smackdown.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Fair.
Otherwise, I would have definitely ran Gravity. And I went Coil Weakness Policy Superior with Iron Tail for the Clefable.
Unfortunate how that one ended up turning out, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
I
crit was
feel
not
like
nice.
I told myself before the game that I had to lead off with Hydreigon, and then I just started the game and I was like, ooh, Grass Snake. A special defensive Hydreigon. I don't know why I did it, but
It
it's
was the
just
bane of
there,
my existence, so it worked.
and it worked. My Blaziken was probably my worst set. It did almost nothing. Well, it got a few Toxics off, but that's all. The Fire Spin, Toxic, Close Combat, Protect, just trap and Toxic them. And then regular Quillfish, so I don't straight up lose to set up Clefable.
And yeah, that Quillfish ended up saving you, because if that Clefable baton passed.
Yeah, that would have been game straight away.
Yeah. And then Angie went for more like straightforward standard sets.
Yeah, I did that just solely because if I realized that if I did like outlandish sets, I probably would have lost. But the one outlandish set that I had was Flash Fire Defensive Chandelure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever run Defensive Chandelure, but it worked pretty well. It just kind of toxic stalled the Blaziken for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely worked really well against that Blaziken.
It definitely threatened the Genesect,
Mm-hmm.
and so it wouldn't explode on me, which is great.
Yeah, originally that Genesect did have normal gem explosion, but I convinced Fatty otherwise, thankfully.
Yeah, he made me put Iron Head on it so I could hit the Clefable. Jeez.
Yeah. Anything else? Was the Muck like made with the 68 attack, 192 SPDF for any reason, or was that just like?
Oh, I did it. It was just like the standard OU, or I don't know. I don't remember what tier it was, but it was just the special defensive set with Assault Vest, and the Assault Vest got knocked off early, so it really didn't matter. But it was pretty standard, just there to do damage, knock things off, and sit there and be fat.
Yeah, and you guys are also meeting up in playoffs first round, right? So, you guys ready for that match?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, I'm sure Fatty definitely has some more hidden sets, but I'm excited to see how that one goes down.
Same.
Yeah, maybe I'll not run most of the standard sets and, come in with normal gem explosion, something else. Clefable, maybe?
I mean, if you do, props, honestly.
Yeah, alrighty. Do you guys think there was, like, any specific plays that game that really impactful?
I mean, I think it was a very good play to crit with the Muck.
Yeah, definitely.
That critical hit was, like, the optimal play there.
Of course.
No, but,
why would I choose to not crit?
It was kind of sad, because if that crit didn't happen, I could have lived the Poison Jab with Coil and gotten a Leaf Blade off that had a chance to KO since she didn't have any defense investment.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Oh well. Anything else you guys want to say?
I think that's all. For me, at least. It was a great game, and I had great fun.
If no one goes boom in the playoff matches, we're gonna have to fight.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for coming on and giving a quick interview. But until next time, Jesse504 out.